Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are bringing another character addition to the Alice in Wonderland 2.0 series that I am bringing back, reviving. So today we are doing the Cheshire Cat while talking about more creepy fantasy fairy tales that we grew up listening to. And this one is another Disney one. Well, Disney adapted The Beauty and the Beast and the very eerie and dark story behind The Beauty and the Beast. So let's get started. I really want to do the Cheshire Cat instead of smiling. I want to do him like super sad, like a forceful sad moment. And I'm going to try to bring in elements of the Tim Burton Cheshire Cat that I really loved and the old purple tones of the original Cheshire Cat from the cartoon Disney one. So let's see what we turn out with. So the tale behind Beauty and the Beast, one of the oldest ones, start off with a wealthy, very well-off merchant is stricken with poverty when his ship is found off at sea. I don't know why, like brushing up glue in my brow hairs is so satisfying. I'm trying to flatten them down so I can paint. I'm gonna paint eyes and everything on my face. And this is when the merchant moves his family to the countryside so they could live a more humble and frugal style method way of living, which is preferable for me. I don't know, there's something about living in the idea of being in a mansion with not enough people to fill up the 12 said rooms or whatever frightens me, and it reminds me of every single horror story. So I understand. I would want to live a frugal lifestyle too, but that's just me. I get paranoid over everything and listen to murder podcasts all the time. So this merchant had 6 daughters and 6 sons. Count them. That is a dozen children. What? Excuse me? And they resented the loss of all of this wealth that they lived in. They sounded like, you know, keeping up with the Kardashian merchant family. It's because they lost all their engagements, social life, everything once their daddy lost their wealth. So, you know, they were pissed, and one of the daughters, who is known as the beauty of the family, you know, that's kind of, who told her that? Like, it sounds like a Tyra Banks show, like, one of you may never leave, one of you may go home. And they somehow told her that she was the beautiful one, so she was like the one who was doing the upkeep in the house work and, you know, cleaning. I'm trying to make this cat sad. I kind of look like a really messed up grumpy cat. You know, but she was looking out for her family in order to keep them fed and clean, like doing the most, just doing, her heart's in the right place, you know. But her other sisters were like resenting her. Like I said, I'm trying to do this purple and like the colors of the, more of the, you know, original cat, cartoon cat. Which is hard because I have to make, see, some of it's lighter than the other lavenders. I have to make my own lavender. Color theory, being an artist, kidding. Bob Ross of Makeup Gurus, kidding. And these sisters that were jealous of the beautiful sister that was just trying to help out the family, they were mocking her, making fun of her menial work. Like, what type of, if I was these kids' parent, ooh, listen, I would be upset. There's so many people that are worried about other people's lives than their own. It's crazy. And then when all this was going down happening, the merchant actually got a amazing, big, huge surprise that like was life altering. One of his lost cargo ships that he thought he lost at sea actually arrived on shore with a cargo full of shipment. A crazy, like, the heavens must be singing for him right now. And these children don't know the ins and out of his business, so they think that this is a sign that they're, you know, good fortune, they're gonna be rich again, they're gonna be wealthy off daddy's money again, you know, they're just thinking the most. And when he has to go to the city to sell his cargo and the freight, and he takes requests from his children on what they would like for him to bring back, and of course, spoiled children who are so used to, you know, expensive things, and they're so sick of this life of just, you know, regular living because they're used to being rich. They're asking for like the most expensive jewels and clothing from their father to bring them back. It's like, sis, hold up. We just may get some wealth, not even back to where we started. Now, when he asked the beautiful daughter what she would like when he goes sells his cargo in the city, because, you know, he asked all his children, he's apparently treating them all fair. she just asked for a single rose. Just me. Dad, I don't want the Birkin bags. I don't want Yves Laurent. I don't want Louis Vuittons. I want roses, Daddy. Me. Now this is where Beauty and the Beast starts sounding similar to the stories where we were told from Disney, from the movies, from plays, you know, of the rose and the beauty, right? Right. But the cool thing about Disney was it didn't sugarcoat the violence that happened in Cinderella, in Beauty and the Beast, in Snow White. It really captivated the romance and the horrific acts of the villains in these tales. I look like if someone envisioned Lisa Frank to collaborate with Tim Burton in a weird tale told as time. I hope this turns out well. I looks like something you see in your nightmares so far. Hopefully it goes well. So, let's do this little pink nose. There is a well-circulated version of Beauty and the Beast. It's French, so I have to read it to understand it. It's called Les Belles et les Bêtes. I'm so can't. My family's redneck Japanese, so it's by Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont. Published in 1756, old story. About a loving yet hapless father, they say. Oh my gosh, doing little cat hair fur is difficult, especially while talking. Anyways, there are protective brothers and a jealous sister and a noble-hearted hero in this tale. Though the Disney Belle in this story is a child. That's right. She has siblings and she's not gorgeous, but she's so generous and kind. She's hardworking and everyone gets selfish against her. That's what it seems like happens in a lot of these Beauty and the Beast tales. Like Belle, everyone's jealous of her because she's either generous, pretty, smart, or all of the above. And her other siblings are lazy while she isn't, so it's not a good mix. This is so hard to do. So in this story, the siblings went out to balls and, you know, social events and parties, stuff like that, and spent money while they laughed at their sister for reading books and doing nothing, what they thought was nothing. But Beauty's father in the story is also a merchant who runs across the Beast castle in his journey when he's returning from his fruitful trips with his profits, right? So as he was returning to harbor, he was caught in a storm, and he takes refuge in this mysterious castle that, of course, is owned by the Beast. And when he enters the castle, he is met by no one, but he sees that there's a fire, there's wood, it's nice and comforting, and that there's a bed made, and that there's a rose garden, and he takes a single rose from the garden for his daughter. But as he's picking up this single rose from this garden, the Beast pounces on him and shows him all of his wrath for touching his things and entering his home and taking the rose from his garden. And this is where the story gets more interesting. So this merchant, in efforts to save his own life, he gives up one of his children, or promises the Beast that he will bring one of his children, probably one of his daughters. You know how it goes. They don't care about children getting married in the 1400s. Like, what is this mess? Honestly, am I talking about my makeup or the story? Hopefully the story. This is hard. So when he returns and tells his children this story, that he has to return to the Beast with one of his daughters, of course, Beauty, the only kind-hearted child who doesn't care about the lifestyles of the rich and the famous, who's always complaining, she is like, I will give up my life, father, and go live with the Beast. Just, what did this family do to deserve this, girl? What? Just what? So she goes over to the Beast's castle, and instead she's given a lavish chamber to live in and piles of goods and foods. But hey, she hit jackpot, it sounds like. If her brothers and sisters knew this, they would probably be jealous, because what else do? They just complain, be lazy, and jealous. This makeup is so hard to do. What have I done to choose this? Why did I do this? Anyways, back to the story. It's a lonely life still in the castle because she sees no one ever throughout her day except at night one time when she has dinner with the Beast. Sounds familiar? That's because it is. It sounds like the Disney version coming to life just a little bit. This poor, why? It's always the nice girls that get manipulated by beasts. Always. This needs to tell us something. We need to learn from our lessons, girls. Catch those red flags and run away. Do what you want. Enjoy life your way, you know? Don't get trapped in a castle with the beast. I don't care if you want those fancy cars and mansions, that's nice, but whoo, child. Sometimes you get trapped in a beast in the process of getting that. Imagine seeing no one except the beast. And just sounds like metaphors for real life. I don't know if I look like a Furby or what. So Beauty enjoys these lavish things, and at the dinners every single night he asks her, will you marry me? And every single night she refuses. And after 7 months, as she admits she's quite attached to the beast, she misses her family a lot. Can you imagine? I'm trying to make the cat look innocent and sad. The crazy thing is the beast allows her to visit her family, but he says if she doesn't return in time or like delays her return, he will die of grief. And this is where it gets interesting, almost like Cinderella. So when she returns, she's probably lavished, definitely, in these fine jewels, expensive clothing that the beast gave her because he's, you know, kind of in love with her, wants to marry her, and lavishes her with all these gifts. And the sister gets jealous, of course, and they overwhelm her with affection so that the sister misses her deadline to return to the beast. Beauty assumes that if she returns, you know, it's going to be late and that he's going to get angry and upset and possibly try to kill her. So she just postpones it, has, you know, the time she wants with her family, and when she returns, she sees that he is dying of grief and sadness. And when she sees the beast on his deathbed, she realizes then that she actually does truly love him and have feelings of affection towards the beast. So this is where it gets interesting. This is where Beauty begs him to live, begs him to marry her because she loves him so much. I'm trying to yellow his teeth to make it look more realistic. I feel like he doesn't have pure white smile. You know what I mean? And so now that the Beauty chose the beast to marry her, he instantly turns into a very handsome prince. And she's rewarded with this handsome, stunning husband who's witty, who she loves. And her sisters are actually condemned to being statues outside the castle for viewing their sister's better fortune, for always belittling her and treating her so, being jealous and mistreating her their whole lives. So it sounds like it's good to be a decent person with morals. That's what I like about this story. To be honest, this one's more realistic and I like it a little more. So this wasn't that much different than the Disney one, but it seems like it's like a combination of the first merchant story I was telling you and this French story. The French story, there appears to be monkeys in it with like parrots that interpret things. There were other stories that there were babies being snatched from cradles with this, that the handsome princes of the merchant were forced into marriage as well. Not with the beast, just into marriages. I mean, but they sound like brats. In some stories, there's like fairies and like struggles with fairies and humans and politics. Disney and politics, what? In one story, Beauty has an imaginary lover that speaks to her in her dreams, but she eventually is like, feels so bad for the beast that she starts to like have feelings for him and sympathy. Even though she says she falls in love with a dream prince that doesn't seem real. Insane. And in the story where she has the imaginary prince, she doesn't end up marrying him, even though she has feelings of grief, but he dies of like, or he starts being so sad, even though he provided this opulent life. So it almost seems like he's kind of buying her love and affection, to be honest, in all these stories. Especially if she grew up that way, even though she's not as bratty as her brothers and sisters were. She was used to that lifestyle, you know? And he's like dying of grief, and I heard in one story he falls in love with like an ugly fairy, and that's when she cursed him in retaliation and turned him into the beast. There's so many complicated stories with this. And he paints the woman he's in love with, Belle, Beauty, as this kind woman. to the fairy that cursed him. In that story, Belle isn't granted like luxury lifestyles and such. She just is trying to learn to accept his love because she feels bad that he was cursed. And she's trying to like love him, which sounds sad. All right, let's try to paint some whiskers. So yes, in that story where she's not offered luxuries and there was a cursed fairy situation, she marries him out of pity, which is crazy. Like, that's being too nice, you know what I mean? So yes, those were the 2 stories. There's a lot more of stories about Beauty and the Beast. I will make sure to link them down below. I found this amazing article. I think it was written by the Huffington Post that shows all of these. I'm doing like staples or stitches to pull his smile down. It gets dark, but they have so many tales of Beauty and the Beast across the world. So I don't know, I really liked the story where Belle was like the only one supporting and helping her family when her father was going through a tough time personally, because it seems more realistic, especially with what we're going through right now as a nation. I mean, across the world, to be honest, with the pandemic. And she just was the only kid that was willing to change her life around to help her family. I'm making so these staples that are holding his mouth open are bleeding a little. I mean, it's getting dark. I told you guys, twisted Alice in Wonderland. I also love the idea that the spoiled brothers and sisters of Belle, Beauty, were punished and turned into statues to look upon their sister's life after she gave up so much to help them out as a family, and they just like treated her like actual garbage. So when she got married and her prince turned into a handsome prince, you know, they're turned into those statues. I want to picture them as like a gargoyle that still like tries to talk trash on her, but they can only talk trash with each other. So it pays to like give back within your heart though. Only within your heart. I also like this weird idea that there was one Beauty and the Beast story where the Beast fell in love with the weird fairy. What was that about? These are also interesting to me and I cannot wait to read upon more. Like I said, I'll leave the article down below. But that is that. We are finished. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, me turning into my version of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, my new Alice in Wonderland 2.0 series. Let's call him Chester, shall we? Chester seems more mysterious than Cheshire, in my opinion. But he's so sad, but menacing and like he's done something. Why is his mouth upside down and bloody with some staples on the side? Who knows? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below on what other Alice in Wonderland character you would love to see me turn into, or other video ideas. Oh my gosh, there's so many cool things coming up. Subscribe to this channel. I do 2 videos a week every Monday and Friday. If you want to see more crazy effects videos like this, body paintings, and I do beauty makeups as well, chit chat get ready with me's. We have a lot of fun here. Hope to see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Hope I didn't scare you too bad. Love you, creators. Bye.